I don't take this channel very seriously. That's the attitude I have about it. When you have um, less than 100 viewers a video, you can pretty much say what you want. So, before I get into more heavy content, just know that it is 2021, March 18th. That is the day after St. Patrick's Day. What did I do yesterday? Well, I had a doorbell installed by an Asian. So, whoever did that, thank you. I mean that sincerely, despite my stoic tone when I'm not at work. And two, I filed my taxes. That took a few hours, but if I had had a person do that, they would give me the finger after the subsequent visits. I mean, I would love to just be like, here are the forms, here you go, but I'd rather do the glorified calculator that is TurboTax. Also, I would rather not have to do TurboTax at all. Now, you don't really need it if you have like an income and a retirement account, or just an income, or you do gig stuff. It's actually simple to do all of that yourself without a middle, but that's not the topic of this video. It's St. Patrick's Day. So what did I do? Yeah, doorbell, taxes, and then I went bowling at the end of the day. I did about average. I think at this point, given a long hiatus because of depression and a pandemic, my average went from like 170 to 150. That's in games. But, my high game is over 250 and my high series is something above 600. A series is 3 bowling games, not 2. But, yeah, so that was St. Patrick's Day. So, I have 2 perspectives about St. Patrick's Day. Oh, sorry, Ireland. I'm not supposed to do it this way. I'm supposed to do it like that. I have 2 perspectives on St. Patrick's Day. One of which is from Savannah, Georgia, and another from here. Well, basically outside of Georgia, which includes Minnesota, because despite having videos titled A Minnesota Perspective, I have only lived here since 2015, which for you should be long enough, but any amount of time living here would be long enough if you understand that I have always had relatives in central Minnesota, in the Brainerd, north of Brainerd. They're somewhere north of Brainerd. I'm not going to tell you exactly where, just north of Brainerd, in that region. And we visited them annually, so I know a thing or two about the culture of the state. I really didn't start looking into it until 2010, but that's how I understand enough to have a series about this. And if there's one thing that I've learned about St. Patrick's Day, especially this year, it's that it's seen in the exact same light as Cinco de Mayo. It's a drinking holiday, and that's basically it. It's a drinking holiday for the sake of a drinking holiday, and you get to look into Irish culture, which is fine. And I wouldn't mind if there was a Native American equivalent or a black equivalent, as long as it's done in a tasteful way. But, that's St. Patrick's Day in Minnesota. But in Savannah, oh my God, people are really proud of their Irish heritage there. And, I have some heritage from the British Isles, including Ireland. They have a really big parade on River Street. It's the biggest St. Patrick's Day celebration in the South. Like, in everything south of Kansas City. So, yeah, I mean, wow. You only get bigger celebrations in places like Chicago and New York City. I mean, even St. Paul, it's not that big of a deal, even though there is something there for St. Patrick's Day, or there is in non-pandemic times. It's nowhere near as big as it is in Savannah or New York, Chicago. Like, it's not just a drinking holiday, it's part of American culture, which, the way America celebrates St. Patrick's Day doesn't have a deep meaning beyond partying. In Ireland, it does. It actually is a longer part of that country's culture. So here's my take about Ireland. I don't know much about this country. I don't have any opinion on where the border of Ireland should be, because if I did, and I took a trip to Ireland, I would get mugged by somebody. That said, the conflict that they'll tell you that it's not just about Catholic and Protestant, but it mostly is. The conflict over there in the U.S. makes absolutely no goddamn sense. The Troubles just seem like something that shouldn't have happened, especially after the late. It shouldn't have happened after the late 19th century. In the U.S., there was some anti-Catholic sentiment going into the 1950s that suddenly stopped. Because, my family, my mother, was raised a Catholic, but my family's more of a French heritage. And there's some German too, and there's also, like I said, the British Isles, but that doesn't cover my mother's side as much. And I trust the historical records way more than a DNA test. There were definitely some farmers from Quebec suddenly thinking that Minnesota would be a good place to live. So, yeah, I'd rather learn French than Irish, but I don't really like France or Quebec anymore. They don't really have Minnesota values, especially the don't make Muslims angry and let them peacefully practice their religion. Why is that hard for those countries and, for France and a province of Canada to understand? If I ever took a trip to France, the first thing they would want to yell at me about if they saw Minnesota anything is, oh yeah, you have Muslims. And I'd be like, yeah. That's the religious conflict right now. It's in the U.S., that is, it's Christianity, atheists, and Muslims. Though I prefer the word Islam, because to me, the way I see it, the way I think of it, it's like Muslim is a race, and Islam is the actual religion. I'm not sure if we should broadly make the language like that. That's up for everyone else to decide. But yeah, Christianity, Islam, and atheists are at each other's throats in this state and around the country to varying extents. And as someone who doesn't firmly follow any religion or even lack of religion, it just seems kind of dumb. Like, if you have this sincerely held belief, yes, but the issue is wanting to force it onto others, which is why I get mad at countries like France that want to force adherents of religion to not wear their headscarves and things like that. And then we have people around here who cheer that on, even though it would never happen in Minnesota whatsoever. Like, if there's someone who is a Muslim or, is Islamic, I don't really feel threatened by that at all. Because, the federal immigration authorities quite clearly know what they're doing. Like, they just do at this point. It took 9/11 to get that kind of common sense. but now they know what they're doing, and they have pretty much every moment since then. Um, so I'm not threatened by Muslims. I'm not threatened by Catholics. I'm not. If anything, I'm threatened by religious extremists who want to force their beliefs on other people. How do I circle this back to St. Patrick's Day? So in Ireland, maybe take a lesson from the US. Just let people peacefully practice their religion, and if they stop being peaceful about it, then you can get mad. You can all get mad. You can all unite in anger with anyone forcing their religion onto you. By the way, Ireland in general is a lot more secular than most of the US at this point. Like, they just recently legalized abortion, and I think they legalized They legalized gay marriage, I think, after the US. So they're a bit behind, but it's, it doesn't look like they're trying to go back to the way things were, which is good. So Ireland, it seems like an okay place now. There's no anti-Irish sentiment at this time, though if I'm not going to even entertain the idea, but there's no anti-Irish sentiment anymore. There was a concern that they would, they were seen in the same light almost as black people a century ago, and that's just not the case. And I know that the potato famine has a lot to do with demographics in the U.S. today. There's a lot of Irish heritage, but not so much in Minnesota, because Minnesota takes a lot more pride in Nordic ancestry, which I don't have. And if Minnesota didn't cave to pressure from the rest of the country, we would probably not be speaking English at this point. If you ask somebody from Iowa, we barely do already. That there's this accent and there are different words and stuff, but we still speak, for the most part, U.S. English. But if there wasn't federal involvement, if there wasn't a move to get rid of Germanic culture, that definitely happened, there is a scenario where Minnesota wouldn't be speaking English. We'd be speaking other Germanic languages with a French minority language. They'd be a respected minority. Sort of like Canada, but maybe not as snooty because of the way culture is now, and hopefully extrapolating how that would have played out in that different timeline. So, the potato famine to the East Coast is the thing that led to a lot of demographic change. And they even went to the West Coast. There's Irish heritage over there too, but a lot of it's on the East Coast in Savannah, New York, and as far west as Chicago, having these big St. Patrick's Day parties that Minnesota doesn't have. Minnesota doesn't think about Irish heritage too much. I have it. I have this Mountain Lightning because I'm a YouTuber who works retail. I can't get actual Mountain Dew. I can't afford that right now. And I have this medical ID that's green. There are multiple colors of this band, and conveniently there's a hockey team that also has green. It would be the greatest sports team in history, or it should be, but because it's a hockey team in Minnesota, but it's not. So that's a bit of a problem. And I've told actual customers, like, yeah, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and I'm like, oh yeah, your last name, you probably take it a bit seriously, a bit more serious. I mean, I have a last name beginning with Mac, So I should be, but this year, there are restrictions that prevent me from going too hard and going out with other people. And also, the whole state is a lot less serious. It's a drinking holiday just like Cinco de Mayo. And it has that much significance to Minnesota. And, that yesterday it's just have doorbell installed, have taxes paid, do bowling. Yay. Like, tater tot hot dish is made of potatoes, but it's not seen as an Irish-based cuisine. And at the store I work at, the St. Patrick's Day merchandise was one and stand, and I actually asked my boss, do you think we could put this on clearance before the holiday? Because, it's not going to sell out. It's not going to get close to selling out. Even weeks after, we're going to have some of this sent back, no matter how much it costs. And living in Savannah, different deal. Kids got the school day off, which back then, as a kid, going from there to Wyoming, where they didn't take St. Patrick's Day as seriously, where kids had to go to school on St. Patrick's Day, that was a bit of a disappointment. But now I'm an adult, and I can say, no matter where you live in the country, you shouldn't have a day off from school for a holiday like that, where it's about one heritage for historical myth, or something historically insignificant like Cinco de Mayo. The white people shouldn't get that. No one should get that. Or if we, we could have these sorts of holidays as a discussion, but they shouldn't be so formal that kids and government employees get the day off. No. Maybe there should be a Native American Day and a Black People Day, though the very last thing on that list, it's I really want the rest of the country to be mature enough before we do something like that. So that is the Minnesota perspective on St. Patrick's Day, with some Savannah mixed in as well. If you want the full list of where I lived and when, it's in the description, and I'm going to make a standalone video about that. And if you're a technophile enough and watching this at some point in the future where this channel is more popular, no, this is not in 4K. If I needed to push this out soon, I'm going to film this from a Google Pixel 4 XL in selfie mode. And also, the 4K camera I'm filming in mono, because it's a monologue. Despite all that, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.